Okay, hope it will work now. So basically,
Yes.
we're discussing that from your supplier side, there are certain type of risk, which is nature of the business, especially your business, that the weather condition, the pests, and lots of things can impact your business, right? Because that can happen and that can decrease your production. So
Yes.
that's very important. And actually, we can go through on those aspects as well. But now, just to understand the big picture, let me ask you that how do you see your buyer side? So who are buying your product? Because that was your supplier side. So there are certain type of risks involved there as well.
In buyer side, the risks that involved in buyer side is that okay, is when they buy the product, maybe the product is not good enough for them. Returning the product to us is one of the risks because we will be lost. You will be lost. So the quality of the products is also very important when it comes to risk in the business.
Yes, that's definitely true, and it's a good point. Absolutely. Hopefully, it is under your control. I mean that if you don't have issues on the supplier side, then I think it might happen. Actually, you are right that anything can happen with the production, with the technology you are using. So it's also a type of risk, and you have to be aware of that too. There is one more thing there, which is probably very obvious. That's why you didn't mention that you have lots of competitors, probably. Or I'm asking you that do you have competitors, or how do you see the market itself where you operate?
Yes, the competitor is very high here because for my business to move, let me just talk about the price of it. Because the competitors here, they measure in the price. They measure in price. So because I am okay, my business is a new business. We just come up just 2 years from the day we started the business, and there are other people who are in this business for long ago. So they now use the opportunity to lower their cost, their price, while I'm trying to see what I can do. So that's give me I don't know what to put there.
Actually, this is also very important that we are now talking about because, and we arrived to your first question because that was your first question in this document which you sent me that please explain me that what does that mean that how can you, or what does that mean that how do you make a difference? Probably it was in a form or something like that in an application that this is the called value proposition actually because when you are competing with other companies who are also selling the same or similar products for probably the same or similar clients, maybe for a different target market, but maybe for the same target market, then you have to differentiate yourself somehow, right? And that's actually the core of your strategy, the core point. So how do you compete? Because you can compete with the price. It means that or you have to get the palm, which is your raw material, for a very low price because you are in a power to negotiate with them, or you have to have a very efficient operation, more efficient than the other companies has, but somehow you have to be able to sell it in a lower price, right? And this is the way how you can do it. If you are more efficient or more, you have a volume of scale, or something you have why you are able to do that, or you have the power in this situation. But if it is not possible, in long term, your business model has to find something else how you are able to differentiate yourself. It can be the quality. I think that was, to be honest, not clear for me from this page what you sent me that because it was it had a mixed message. And when you are preparing, when you are applying for a grant, when you want to get a grant, or a fund from an investor, then it's very important to clearly articulate that what is your value proposition. So how would you like to compete? Why do you think that I am a customer. Why would I buy your product and not the competitor's product? It can be also the distribution network. You have a better distribution network, whatever, but somehow you have to be able to articulate this and to find it for your business. So for me, many cases you refer to the fact that you are operating in a highly competitive market, which means that you have to compete with the price. Now you said something like that too. On the other hand, you are also mentioning that you have this super cooking oil and also you are differentiating yourself because the hygienic environment, how you are selling, also the vitamin and the other things like that are different than your competitors are offering. So it can be a market differentiator, but in that case, probably it's also worth to analyze your target market because I see only one number in this document which said that how many clients are using this oil and how many of them are your target market, but probably those clients are looking for this premium product and you are able to sell it in a higher price because they are looking for this type of healthier alternatives. Is that right? I'm just asking questions.
What do you say?
So my question would be that when you mentioned the number of, let me just try to find it for you. Yes, here it is. So you said that you have approximately 5.5 million people, residents, and of which basically 3.5 million approximately is your target market. So how did you come to this conclusion? It's very important to understand that how do you position yourself and your business. So,
all right. Some time ago, I conducted a market research from household to household. Then compare the number to the data I got from internet. Then I find out that 5 in each of the households will be using the oil.
Okay. So basically, this is the market who are using this oil. On the other hand, if you are targeting with a higher price and you are trying to sell it as a premium product, then probably this target market is a little bit narrow, right? I mean that probably the top 10%, 20%, whatever is your target market, right? So it's very important to understand this proposition, this value proposition, and maybe we can go through on the other questions as well, and we can come back to this point, and I can help you to find an answer, because you need to have an answer to this question, that what is your value proposition. And the meaning of this question, if I have to explain it, is really not more and not less, just to understand how do you differentiate yourself among your competitors. Why would I buy your product and not the other product? It can be the price again, it can be the quality, it can be the distribution network, the access, that I have access to your product. I can pay for your product, because you mentioned at the beginning in your introduction that you are selling, you are not just manufacturing, you are providing financial services, you are training. So probably, maybe you are operating with an MLM system. We didn't talk about that, but these might be all answers. But let's move forward. And let's understand one more important thing here, that we talked about the return as an expectation from the investor, and also we talked about the risk, the uncertainty, because it's the prediction. You are promising something for the future, and I have to trust you, right? So there are lots of other aspects what you have to consider when you are preparing this application for the grant. You have to convince me that I can trust you, because I will give you my money. Sorry?
I want to say, do you have any material that can guide me more, even after this talking?
Yeah, this is based on my experience, but I'm sure that I can find you. Also, I can try to have some time at the end of our discussion, and we can try to find for you some materials. But the main point here is that you have a management. You are the CEO.
Yes.
When I read this proposal or application, I have to be sure that my money is safe.
Yes.
It's a character issue as well, and everything can be useful, which convinces me. Let me be very specific. So if you have a track record in the industry, you worked in the industry, even if it was not an entrepreneurship experience, but you were hired by another company, you know the market, right? And this is sometimes not just telling that I know the market, but demonstrating it. So if you are adding numbers, and that's what I missed from this document which you sent me, that if you add numbers, that will increase your credibility. That will increase the trust that I will give you my money. So it is more transparent if you are not just saying that, yeah, I have competitors, but you are providing me information that these are the top 3 competitors who are targeting the same target market. If it is a premium product, that the top 10 to 20%. If it is a mass market, sorry?
I think I'm a little bit out of data.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit out of data.
Okay, I understand.
In the next 10 minutes, I think my data will be off. Do we have another session tomorrow?
Yeah, let's just try to focus and solve this issue, because it's a realistic situation that you don't have information in the market, right? And you don't have the tools to get the market information. You are a small business. So I understand completely what you are saying, that if I were a big company, then probably I have a department who is doing research or buying market research from big companies. You don't have these tools, right? So what can you do now? What can you do? And there are 2 options that you have. First is, of course, you do your best and you search the internet and do your own researches or whatever based on your capacity. This is something what you can do. The other is that you can try to be agile and try to pivot the market and test the market, and without having these big researches or market analysis and customer researches or whatever, you can try to get your own data because you have 2 years of experience in the business now. It has to say something to me. So if I see that you have a good trend, and we will talk about that as well, the finances, then it is something which can be convincing. But anyway, you have to be aware of your target market. You have to be in touch with your clients. And there is an easy way to understand that who are selling the same or similar products, or why are you different. At the end of the day, you are not able to escape from this situation. You have to give answers to these questions, especially if you are applying for an investment. Again, I can trust you if you have clear criminal record, whatever. You have a good track record in the industry. These are all good things. But this is a high risk for me. What I'm looking for as an investor is that it's okay to have risk, but I have to see that the risk is managed by you, by your company. You are thinking about the weather, the pest, what kind of impact can it have on your business. You are thinking about the production. You are thinking about the competitors and how do you approach these issues and how do you mitigate the risk. There is an easy way, from my perspective, to mitigate the risk, that I ask financial securities, especially if I give you a loan and not finances. We didn't talk about, not investment. We didn't talk about that yet. But the point is that at the end of the day, you need money, right? You want to have money. That's why you are looking for. There are different ways to get money in the market. It can be friends and family. That's the easiest way. It can be a bank who is financing you or giving you a loan. It can be another institution who is giving you a loan. And it can be a capital that you can involve shareholders, partners. It can be an unknown investor as well. It can be crowdfunding. These are all different, but from financial perspective, the highest risk from my perspective, if I am giving you the money, if I give you it as an investment, because if you go to bankrupt, then I will be the last who will get back the money. Now, how can you, let's spend some time with the financial instruments. How can you introduce your company from financial perspective? Because you have 2 years track record. So there are, actually three main instruments which you have to be aware of. The first is like a photo. If I take a photo of your company, what you have right now, this is called balance sheet. It means that if I see what kind of assets and liabilities you have in the company, I have an information about your company. What I'm talking about is that if you have real estate, if you have very expensive but very liquid, or actually mobiles, I can sell your production machines or whatever easily, and you have a real estate which can be also sold in case of an issue, then that helps me to be convinced, because it's also a risk mitigation from my perspective, because I see that if you go to bankrupt, then there is still something which I can use to get back money. On the other hand, if you don't have anything, so basically the company is empty from asset point of view, but you have lots of liabilities, that you have loans, you have financial difficulties, your buyers are not paying, and you are not able to pay to your suppliers or whatever, then of course it's also a different situation. So this is called balance sheet. There is another instrument which you can use to introduce your company. It's called profit and loss or income statement. This shows me the video of your business actually. So it's not just one moment of your business when I see that, okay, you have 2 real estates, 1 machine, whatever, but I see that, okay, this was your revenue in your last year. This was your these were your expenses. These are the items. You have employees in your company, you have contractors in your company, you are renting your real estate when you are operating, or these are all costs you money. On the other hand, these are the revenue elements. These are coming from a concentrated buyer portfolio, or these are coming from a retail market. How stable is that? So these are all important background information to see your profit and loss figures, because at the end of the day, you will give me back your money based on that financial statement, right? So, and the third one, which I would like to refer to, is the cash flow statement, which is also very important to see, because you can have liquidity issues, even if you have a very good client base and you have good suppliers, but probably your buyers are not paying immediately. You may be paying immediately to your suppliers. It can be a different situation if you are paying for 60 to 90 days or whatever to your suppliers, and you are receiving the money from your buyers immediately. What I'm saying is that if we see what happened with your company in the 2 years and what you are planning for the next 2 years or 5 years or whatever term, then it will give me an understanding of your business from financial perspective. And this is very important for me as an investor, because I will see my return potential and your track record, how reliable is that information, and I will see the risk from my perspective, and I will see how can I mitigate that risk, how can I manage that risk, what kind of payouts I have. So what I wanted to tell you is that even if you are not able to spend money on your market research, and you don't know that it's 3 million or 2 million, the client base who are potentially buying your products, I have to understand what you are planning for the future. And the basis of your plan is your sales plan, right? Because,
Yes.
And it's really just being street smart, that you are planning to have 10 more clients, 20 more clients. Is that realistic? If you had in the last 2 years altogether 10 clients and you are planning for the next 2 years 2,000 clients, then I will think, okay, why? How? And it can be okay, don't misunderstand me, but you have to be able to explain me. If you are just continue the trend and you say that every year you are able to increase the client base by 10%, then, and you are continue, then it's okay. Then it's more clear for me and more reliable, that information, without any explanation. So don't worry about that. If you don't have resources or capacity to have this market research, you have other tools to convince me. But this has to be also factual and data-based. because your experience and your expertise is very important. That's the most important for a small business. But if you have a track record of 2 years and I see that you didn't do anything in the last 2 years, what would be the guarantee that I will get back anything from my money if I give you my money? So let me ask this question, that what happened in the last 2 years? So do you see that the market, your market share is increasing, or not market share? Let's talk about your net sales. That you don't need to tell me the exact numbers if you don't want to, because it might happen that it's a recorded conversation and someone else will watch this video. But just as you want to disclose it. So do you see that it's a solid business? You started from zero probably. So is it in line with your idea when you set up this company that this is the way how it will goes? Because probably you used a piece of paper and you had a plan in your mind, right? That, okay, let's see if I will sell 10 products, 10 liters. If I will sell 100 liters, it will cost me that amount of money. It will give me that amount of revenue. So how did you do your first plan? How did you make your first plan?
All right. My first plan. You asked about the first plan before I come into the business, or the first plan even while I'm still in the business. I want to know. Hello.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hello. I don't understand. The first plan, is it before I come in?
Yeah, I'm just asking you that probably you had something in your mind when you started your business, right? That, okay, I will do that business because it might be profitable, because I can sell this palm oil for, I don't know, $10 and it costs me $2. So I will earn $8, right?
Yes.
So that's something like that you had in your mind, right? Or you have in your mind for the future too?
What I have in mind is to make profits at the same time, to be the leader in the industry. Like the next 5 years, to become the leader in the industry, in the palm oil industry. That is what is in my mind.
In 5 years, you want to be the leader in the industry. That's what you said?
Yes.
Okay. What does that mean to be a leader in the industry? Can you specify this for me?
Well, one, I must to bring out the strategies in order for me to have a market share. That is number one. Then how do I get this market share? I must to have enough customers that is coming in to buy the products. Then three, my cost, that's my production cost, must be lower. I must set it in lower in order for me to meet up with other things. So those are the things that I have in mind to do in order for me to come up as a leader in the production of palm oil.
It's very good. What you are saying is very good, really. I like it. On the other hand, sometimes it confuses me that you say that being the market leader and selling the products or being more efficient, actually, so the lower cost, that's what you said. So you have an information about the market because you are comparing yourself with the market. Even if you are just a client, if you want to buy palm oil now in the market, probably you do it, right? You buy products. You have a way to compare your product with the other products, right?
Yes.
So you have an information about the market. At the end of the day, you see, and probably you don't know how much does it cost for them to produce that product, what you are producing, but you see their price, right?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, because we are talking about the financial application form or something like that, and you asked me to explain some terms, like the value proposition was the first, and now the second is that what is the overall impact of your initiative work so far. So if it is a government fund, then it's a different situation, and it might be time to talk about that too. But if it is a business investment, then I have to see your profit. So you don't need to tell me right now, but what I'm saying is that using these financial instruments, you have to be able to introduce me your company. You have to be able to tell me your story from financial perspective, which means that in the last 2 years, this is what I did. So I sold the first year this number of products, that was the cost, that was the price, that was my margin. The next year, I saw this number of products, this number of products, that was the cost, that was the price, that was the margin. And then I will see something in your figures. 2 years is maybe not the most reliable, but that's a type of trend, right? Especially if I add your next year and your plan. And this is your last question, actually, which is talking about where is the potential, what is the potential of your initiative, right?
Yes, to have an impact on.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget that it's also added in these questions that please include data and evidence. And I hope you now have a better understanding why I need to have data and figures behind these things, because you have to be able to convince me. We don't know each other, especially if you go to crowdfunding or if you are applying for a fund abroad, then you have to convince the people there without knowing you, because if I know you, then probably it will be easier to give you my money because I trust you. But if I don't know you, then you cannot assume that I trust you. So you have the fact, which is fact. Balance your balance sheet, your income statement or profit and loss statement, and also your cash flow. This is talking about your past. What did you achieve? And now for the future, which is uncertain again, and it's the very challenging job. What I used to recommend to do, and it might be a situation for you as well, because you have certain risks. Maybe you have. Are you okay? So
Yes,
maybe
yes,
you
yes.
have. Maybe you can set up different scenarios, and that's a good idea, because let's say the weather condition is changing, the past. So you can have a worst case scenario, right? That nothing works well. What will happen with your figures in the next 2 or 5 years or whatever, depending on the fund you are applying for. And you can have a best case scenario as well, that everything goes very well, you are able to invest again. I have to see what will happen with your profit the next year, the after that year. Also, what happened? Did you invest it back? So what is important is, let me just summarize that you will have assumptions for the future because you don't know the future. You are not able to predict the future. No one is able. This is a very fast change. It's a very fast changing environment what we are operating in. So if you have assumptions which are well established based on your knowledge and experience, so that's why I need to I use this to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. So if you are providing me a very good picture of the market situation, that these are your clients, this is how your clients look like, this is why they are buying your products, this is why you are predicting more sales for the next 2 years, these are your assumptions, which are basically basis of your scenario, then it's okay to have a best case and worst case scenario, and maybe a realistic one, which you assume that will happen with your company. But I can give you my money. I can give you money if I see that picture. Again, it doesn't need to be very detailed, especially if you go to crowdfunding, when even an idea can be funded by money. So, but it will be more successful and you will be able to get higher amount of funding if you are convincing. You are convincing if you are fact-based, if you are using data and evidence, underlining facts, and it is clear that why do you think that your business will be successful. for me, when you are saying that it's very healthy, I'm not aware of, I'm not familiar with that market, so don't misunderstand me. But it would be good to see why do you think that? And why do you think that it's important for your clients? Because you are selling your products in Nigeria only, right? So you're not going to the international market. So I don't have any reason to start an argument about that. I trust you that you know the market, but you have to be able to prove it for me that this is the situation. So why? If your production increased in the last 2 years, that's something which I can trust, especially if it was a very good trend and I see that it's a very stable, sustainable model. And finally, I mentioned many times that there are different types of grants. So we talked mainly about the private funds. When an investor is financing your company, I refer to the fact that you can have different alternatives to get money from the market on a business based, like loan or friends, family, whatever. But if you are applying for a government fund, then it's a different story, really, because then you have to see the application form when you are applying that probably they have a description. Maybe they want to increase the health condition of the Nigerian population. That's a good starting point. Then I would recommend to research, and I'm sure that you will find in the internet the positive effects of the palm oil, and then just reference those things, because that will help you to be more reliable for me, or more credible. So that's a different story, but everybody has their own goal, or when they are giving you money. So that's very important to understand why I want to give you money. If it is a government fund, then I have these initiatives. Let me just mention one more thing, because I read an article a few weeks ago, so it was not related to your business, but is that right that it's a big issue from environmental protection point of view, that this palm oil situation, that lots of cosmetics company and others are using this palm oil and they want to have some global initiatives to stop this production? Or I don't know, to be honest, I don't remember. So I don't want to use it as a reference. I'm just mentioning that it's worth to research those things as well. As for example, I just read an article, it was today, that somewhere in the world it was above 50 degrees for a few days. Maybe it was in Africa, I'm not sure, but because of the global warming. So what I'm saying, you are really impacted by the environment. So you have lots of risk in your business, which is not a problem again, if I see that you are able to mitigate those risks. But for me, I think the profit and the return on investment will be relevant to check only if I see that my risk is in line with my return, right? I can take a higher risk for a higher return. And of course, if you don't have any risk, then I can give you my money almost free of charge.
No. Mr. Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Do we have another session tomorrow? On the 7th? Do we have another session on the 7th?
To be honest, we scheduled one appointment in my understanding, but we can try to schedule another one.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I said, do we have another session on the 7th, being tomorrow?
Tomorrow is June 7, I understand.
Yes, do we have another session? Let's meet again by 8 o'clock tomorrow. Let me, recharge the data so that the internet can work for both of us tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we can schedule another appointment and we can discuss your specific financial situation as well.
Yes, yes.
Might be a good idea. It will not be recorded. And I can try to make for you the 3 p.m.
Okay.
Which makes sense. But I hope you get a better understanding of this, let's say, grant situation.
Yes.
That what I would expect you to showcase or to show me or demonstrate in your material, in your proposal, if you are applying for a fund, and what is the logic behind, because it's really pretty simple. So I try to avoid using any fancy jargon or words. I didn't talk about the tangible assets or whatever, because the point is very important. The main idea is that I give you money, I expect to have a return, but I give you money if I see that you are aware of your risk and you are managing your risk, because it will be my risk if I give you my money. And the way how to do that is that the main thing is to see the market, your buyers and suppliers, your competitors, the market potential itself, even if you don't have resources and capacity to make a difficult market research, but you are living there, so you know the market. You have to know the market, and you have to show me that you know the market, and then it's pretty much it. Yeah. Also, your product it's very good. I think that it's a healthy product. I like the approach that you are providing a financial service as well. This mobile application, in my understanding. We didn't talk about the distribution network, the marketing approach, and lots of other things which are very important. But your expectation was to discuss the finances, so we focused on that. But those are also relevant aspects, and as I mentioned, it can be related to your value proposition, everything, because it can happen that you refer to the fact that there are long distances and people are not able to access the product, but you are able to give them opportunity to pay by this mobile bankings or mobile point of sale solutions. And you are also developing a network with training. So these are all good initiatives. And I like your approach that you are trying to not just produce a product, but you try to see the big picture and provide a universal solution for a problem, because that's the basis, that there is a need in the market. And you are there is a problem in the market as well, but you are trying to solve. But your value proposition has to be based on this need and this problem. And that's how you can explain it. If you are going to crowdfunding, definitely that's the way to do that, because that's more an idea-based funding. So if you have this idea and you are able to sell it, that, hey guys, I'm thinking on that's the issue, that the people don't have access to this product. In my understanding, that's what you said. But they are looking for, they need to have this product. And providing this mobile banking application and the mobile sales force, I'm able to deliver this product, and I'm able to deliver an opportunity for them to pay for this product, and it will be there. Then it's fantastic, it's brilliant. So you can do that. Just try to package it in line with the expectation of the investor, the goal of the investor. If it is a government fund, try to emphasize the healthier, better living, or I don't know what aspects are important for your government. If it is a business, then try to focus on the business potential, and do your best with the research, but try to be as much factual as you can. And I think our time expired. So let's continue it tomorrow.
Yes, we continue tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow the same time.
Okay, thank you very much, and enjoy the day, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.